It is Friday, November 24th. Let's talk PlayStation. So, I will be completely honest, much like I mentioned, I think I mentioned it actually last week, but basically, you know, going into like December, especially going into the new year, there's going to be like, you know, gaming news is going to be like pretty low, and specifically PlayStation stuff, there might not be a whole lot going on. That's basically what happened this past week. Like, there's really nothing of major significance for us to talk about. I got nothing. So I sent out a tweet asking you guys what would you like to talk about tomorrow, which funny enough, a lot of you are so kind. Some of you mentioned, oh, just take the week off, especially because it's, you know, it's Thanksgiving, or it was. I mean, right now I'm filming this at 2:30 in the morning, but so technically it is Friday, but obviously it was, you know, I do these typically Thursday nights going into the Friday morning, but I've already done my Thanksgiving holiday happy type stuff. So and you know, I don't know if I've done this 5 years now, or maybe it hasn't quite crossed over 5 years, but as far as I know, I've never missed a Friday for Let's Talk PlayStation. I've always been on the dot every Friday with Let's Talk PlayStation. So as nice as it is for you guys to say, take a week off, thank you very much, I for some reason just can't bring myself to do that. I've done it for how long now? I've got a good streak going. I guess we'll keep it going. The only problem is now I gotta bullshit an episode and basically create nothing out of nowhere. So I guess we can just kind of hang out a little bit and chat. And somebody even said Q&A, so I guess we'll just kind of turn it into that. I didn't even like really ask for questions. I was just like, what do you want to talk about? Thinking one topic would come out. And there's really nothing too crazy. So shit, let's just read some tweets. Neil says, Days Gone release date. Dude, I'm guessing like 2018. Well, I mean, I would guess... So, we haven't seen that much of Days Gone. I would have to guess it would actually be on the later half of 2018, so I'm assuming probably like the fall. That would be my release window, I would guess. And at DonDom95 says, how about your hopes and wants for PSX? If you want to talk about games you've been playing this week. Jeez, I can't even. I'm butchering everything, by the way. I understand this. I know that one was a little rough. Wants for PSX. I've talked about this briefly. My wants for PSX is firm release dates, because we already know what a lot of Sony's developers are doing. Like, that was like the biggest conversation for the longest time, right? What is Sony Ben doing? What's Sucker Punch doing? You know, what was Sony Santa Monica doing? Like, we finally got all these answers. We know what everybody's working on. Now it's time to see. Now it's time to get release dates for all these games, especially since they've been boiling. You know, they've been in the oven for a little bit now. So we should get to that point. And hopefully we'll get release dates at PSX soon. In terms of games I've been playing this week, Skyrim VR. I'm going through that slowly but surely. The only reason I say that is because I'm also trying to, at the same time, concurrently play Persona 3, because I told you guys before I was going through the Persona games again. Or, not again, for the first time ever, I've been playing the Persona games. And now I'm working on 3, and I'm also trying to play Pokemon Ultra Moon, because that came out as well. And you guys know I love my Pokemon. Jose Rodriguez said just talk about Pokemon, which I would love to do actually, but I have no problem talking with Pokemon on any other video except Let's Talk PlayStation. This is... I try to keep it all PlayStation here. Unless it's like some you know what I mean, like some sort of widespread overarching idea or overarching topic of the video game industry as a whole, because that's still pretty relevant to PlayStation as a games platform. Okay, my boy Nick B. Leave It said, given that the PS4 port of the Precursor Legacy is ho-hum at best, do you think the PS4 versions of Jak 2, 3, and X are cancelled or just in development hell? Wondering if this is one of the many reasons why Sony isn't advertising PS2 on PS4 games very well or much. I wouldn't necessarily say development hell, because it's, and I'm not saying it's an easy process, but certainly it's a lot more streamlined than actually developing an actual game. As far as I know, this is just a situation of like a lot of Q&A and checking to make sure the trophies work, because it's emulation at best. You know, I mean, the upscaling is all done somewhat retroactively. Same with just getting the game to, like, once they're over the initial hump of getting the game running and things like that. I mean, it's just a matter of playing it and see what areas might be a little finicky and what you know, make sure the trophies unlock and all that. So I don't know what's taking them so long. You are right, because I believe they promised those. I believe they promised the rest of the Jackson summer, didn't they? So I'm not entirely sure. you know, I don't know why they don't advertise them more, because I've honestly played a lot of the PS2 games that are on PS4 already, and most of them actually work quite well. At least the Rockstar ones. So I don't know why they aren't making it more front and center. And you're right, because they did kind of hide that away in the PlayStation Store. If you want to find the like just the straight list of PS2 games on the PlayStation Store on PS4, you have to like you have to go to like genres and then scroll all the way over to the right, and then you can find that little box. Whereas it used to be on the right, it used to be on the left side, just like as a main menu. Now it's like gone. So I don't know why they are putting less emphasis on that. Maybe because they're not. Maybe because in the pipeline they don't have many games coming up. I'm not sure. Pacho215 says the FCC removing net neutrality. You know what? I feel like that would be like an entirely separate video, and you know, it's certainly an important issue. It's just such a multifaceted issue. Obviously, I'm on the side where it's like we should retain net neutrality for a very specifically good reason, which is that an open freedom of the internet, and that way, you know, internet service providers can't induct insidious services on the consumer. I obviously want net neutrality, much like many other people. It's my understanding currently that there's really, despite how outspoken people are about it, and despite how many Americans have clearly voiced that they want to keep net neutrality, it seems like this is going to get passed no matter what. It will get repealed, which is extremely unfortunate. The vote is December like 16th or something, and it's like pretty much guaranteed that it's going to pass and it's going to get repealed. And funny enough, I'm also seeing a lot of service providers even advertise that in direct response to it possibly getting, more than likely being passed, service providers advertising that they're not going to throttle people and they'll be very transparent, which is weird that you got to advertise that you'll be very transparent, which is pretty much you saying, hey, guess what, we are going to make changes that we weren't allowed to do before, but don't worry, we'll tell you about it, which is kind of bullshit. The only real thing I guess I'd worry about is what it will look like once it's passed, because I would certainly hope that not anything too drastically shitty happens, you know, like the worst case scenario of like, you know, unbundling the internet, and just increased pricing, and it's all around going to be pretty shitty. I would hope that it won't be like that, and you know, the monopoly of service providers will, you know, be, I guess, a little bit consumer friendly and not screw everybody with like really terrible, you know, anti-consumer behavior. But it will remain to be seen what ends up happening. Black Friday purchases, honestly, maybe one of the Ryan on Gaming. That was pretty neat. I really enjoyed them. Sergio, Black Friday stuff, you know what? I still haven't even actually bought anything yet. I might buy something in the next 1 or 2 days, because the sales go all throughout the weekend, which it's like it's like not Black Friday anymore, and it makes Cyber Monday irrelevant. It's like this whole weekend is all sales. But I've got my eye on a few games. I'm not sure what I'll end up picking up. You know what, that's already it. I didn't even emphasize this tweet all that much, so not many people responded, and I posted it kind of late. So, I guess we'll just end this LTPS there. Hope you all enjoyed this, like, little sideline, out-of-nowhere chat of me just trying to come up with things to talk about. If you enjoyed this, we could certainly do this again. And what I mean by that is, if nothing happens in another week, I'll need more things to talk about. And since it's already getting pretty late, I'm probably going to be a little lazy on the editing here, so if there's not that much B-roll footage and you're forced to look at me this whole time, I'm sorry, because I know I'm not that handsome. That concludes this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. I'm Ryan Blackney. Thank you all so much for talking with me, and I will see you guys all next Friday.